Just a heads up, folks, we will in this episode be discussing conversion therapy and other dangerous psychological practices.
Like, if I had a bit of a thing for Mentala, I've got a big thing for Chiana, because
well, yes, I do. I knew that was coming. I wanted to get to this episode from the beginning because I'm like, Jack is going to love Chiana.
It's all the hopping around, isn't it?
In some ways, I'm a very simple man, and I am what I am, and I embrace that.
And you are a man of taste.
As well you should.
Hi, friends.
Hello, Puppets.
Howdy, y'all.
And welcome to Muppets, Sex, and Trauma. I'm Sara Ezzat. I make the Costume Codex videos.
I'm Jack Kramme, editor / right-hand man for Passion of the Nerd and editor for Chipperish Media.
And my name is Josh Gosdin, and I get the things off of tall shelves for the rest of my family.
And that is more than enough. Short people love that.
Right, honestly.
And we're here to talk about Durka Returns.
Holy shit.
Durka Returns was written by Grant McAloon and directed by Tony Tilsey. Moya's pregnancy is causing problems with her starbursting. She comes out of starburst too close to a transport ship and is unable to avoid a collision. Pilot insists on bringing the ship aboard to try and repair the damage.
I reckon with guessing too sweet, Pilot.
The ship contains 3 passengers, and in a shocking turn of events given the title of this episode, one of those passengers is Captain Durka, the man who we have previously been told was a hero of peacekeeperdom, and also the man who tortured and imprisoned Rigel. But that was 100 cycles ago, and we saw his ship. It was a wreck, and there was a corpse in the captain's seat. Rigel remembers. He spat on the corpse.
I am Durka.
It seems he faked his death and escaped only to be captured by the people who defeated the Zobenium.
My people are the Nibari.
A species who have the ability to reprogram people out of violent behavior. Or really, any behavior they don't like. They kept Durka in stasis while they Ludovico'd him, and now he is a big fluffy puppy with bad hair extensions. And he is assisting a Nibari called Salus, who is transporting a prisoner bound for deprogramming. And ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished persons of diverse genders, the time has come. The Brat herself, the proud Trauk, the most beautiful gray girl in all of science fiction. Introducing the one, the only, Chiana, played by the incomparable Gigi Edgley. And she is instantly magnetic. John certainly finds her so. Yet even though the rest of the crew have all been prisoners themselves, they let Salus lock her up. Not only is she in a cell, she's in handcuffs and also has a shock collar around her neck. Salus won't say what she's done, only that his people see it as a crime and she is bound for the same brain neutering Durka has had. Returning to Durka, Rigel is extremely triggered by his presence, so much so that he sets off a bomb inside Moya to attempt to kill him, and almost takes John out too. Luckily he got the formula wrong on the bomb-making stuff. The crew is pissed at Rigel for, setting off a bomb inside the ship, and they tie him up and lock him in his quarters. Meanwhile, Chiana has freed herself and sneaks into Rigel's quarters. She tries to bargain with him. She'll untie him if he helps her escape. She agrees, but as soon as she loosens his bonds, he calls the crew to say she's escaped. The crew splits up to hunt for Chiana. John finds Salus dead in a corridor. Aaron and Rigel are taken by surprise by a newly mentally cleansed Durka. It seems the mind cleanse works by MCU rules, and a good boink on the head fixes everything. Durka takes command of Moya and takes the opportunity for a little haircut and some light monologuing. But his eviling is interrupted when Moya is unable to starburst. He decides to torture Aaron for answers, but Rigel taunts him instead, and also drops the news of Moya's pregnancy. Not sure that's the best idea. Elsewhere on the ship, John and Chiana find each other. John negotiates a plan for them to work together to defeat Durka. Chiana will act as bait, and John will spring the trap. But Durka is smarter than the average bear, and evades the trap, though at least he's out of command now. And the bastard shoots Chiana.
Brown lad, he's gonna kill us all anyway. Go get the bastard.
Durka goes to the cargo bay to access his ship's guns. He's going to shoot Moya to make her lose the baby. Luckily, this is the cargo bay where Rigel left his bomb-making supplies, and John is able to make an exploding bowling ball to blast Durka's ship out into space. Unfortunately, it nearly takes John out to space with it, but he is able to pull himself out at the last minute. Durka's ship floats away as he's left his propulsion engine on board Moya. He is pissed, and vows vengeance on John. But,
Get in line, Durka.
Later, when Moya is gathering her strength for Starburst, Aaron finds Rigel. He did save her from torture after all. Though, as she points out, that wasn't really about her. But he handled himself well, and she wanted to tell him so. Elsewhere, Zahn is tending to Chiana's wound. And they're not getting along great.
She's a Brat.
John says she can stay, but there are rules.
Yeah. Well, when I see any of you falling, so will I.
And it looks like we have a new crewmate. Though there is still one unanswered question.
Where were you when Salas was murdered?
So, what do you guys think?
I loved this episode so freaking much. I know I've said this a couple of times on this podcast now, but this is now my new favorite episode because holy shit. One of the things I loved about it was that it kept me guessing the entire time. I didn't know what the twist was going to be, and I didn't know who the hell to trust. I went from thinking, oh, maybe they're trying to do something subversive, and Salas is like the good guy, but maybe Durka is, and then Chiana. Like I just didn't have a freaking clue. Like so confused, but loved it.
Ah, man, I love this episode too, and it just from top. This is the. Ooh, I love this episode. This is the most like cohesive and tight and effective episode I think so far. Yeah, I think it might be my favorite at this point too. But like, I think this is the first time that we've seen the crew like truly from beginning to end united against a threat.
It's exactly, yeah.
And all of them using their unique skills and abilities and all that kind of stuff. And some of them are put in unfamiliar situations, and they try to pull Rigel off of Durka at the beginning, but I make up that was mostly just so that they could figure out what was going on before Rigel did anything. And so then when Rigel threw in his ping pong bomb, then they were all just like, well, for fuck's sake, man, like we're just trying to solve this mystery first. But like, yeah, even like the opening shot of all of them except for Pilot, just shoulder to shoulder, and when Durka walks in, I was just like, it's so good.
Yeah, we're in a real bonding phase. I have been waiting for this entire time. The whole time we've been recording, I've been waiting to introduce you to this guy. I swear I've had a C minus X episodes in my head the whole time, because especially since you loved Metallo, just be like, Chiana is coming.
Yeah, I mean,
Chiana is coming.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And I forget how good this episode is just as an episode, because I'm always like, Chiana is coming.
Full disclosure for all out there, I don't think I knew her name, but I was aware of this character's existence and that she sticks around after this, because growing up and being surrounded by sci-fi, I've seen her face in a lot of promotional material for the show. So when she popped up in the episode, I was like, oh, okay, here we are.
I had seen pictures of her and whatnot, but I just didn't know her significance. I mean, considering there was promotional pictures, she had some significance. But I didn't know if she was a villain crew. Like I didn't know. Yeah.
I had hoped that maybe we'd go in completely unspoiled. Really hoping you haven't seen any images of the next person to join the show. But we will talk about that when we get there.
Yeah,
also
I don't
watched-
think I have.
I've also watched Stargate SG-1's wonderful sci-fi parody episode where they do a cutscene of Farscape, and now I think it was Sam. I think Sam was the Chiana analog, and that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I love that. That is one of the best episodes of sci-fi ever in anything.
But yeah, Josh, I agree with you that I loved that we finally get an episode that's rather contained, because I've complained a little bit about episodes being really busy and having like different plots and people like split up. It was really nice to have a contained episode where everybody's on the ship working towards the one goal. And I love the fact that sort of, I mean, once again, like Crichton is kind of the hero, but he had a lot of help this time though too. Yeah. He wasn't the single like come to me, my children, and I will save you. Like, yeah. I mean that was a weird way of explaining that. But
he's the protagonist of the show, but it's got to be it's better when it's an ensemble. So where shall we start? Shall we start with character development then? Should we talk about Rigel?
Oh, Rigel, my boy Rigel. Okay. Oh, so I loved how his initial like flashback PTSD moment in the beginning when he sees Durka was handled. In particular, how they were able to convey so much emotion on the puppet's face, like I felt that in my soul. And once again, they busted out the high quality puppet for this one. Yeah.
The really emotive puppet. I have really enjoyed some of the hidden depths we've gotten from Rigel this season, and a lot of the kind of like character hints that he's not quite as hedonistic and selfish as he comes across. I loved, like almost to the point of being moved to tears, I loved his, shut up speech that he gave to Durka when Durka was threatening to torture him, and like the way that it cut across everybody's reactions because Durka left the comm open. Like Dargo smiled, and just like the look of respect on everybody's face as they were listening to this man. This man stand up to this person who was the one person who, was his nightmare. And he just told him to shove it, and he told him to shove it in a way that he was defending Aaron and the entire crew.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to help. He was trying to save Aaron, and he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, I mean, not in these are words, but it was just like, you can't fuck with me anymore. Like I'm done. Screw you, man. Like get out, And yeah, he took his power back, and we saw elements of this, and I think it was PK Tech Girl. There was the beginnings of this, but it wasn't quite resolved, and I don't think it's completely resolved here. I have a feeling we're going to see more of Durka. I don't know. I certainly hope we do though, because I feel like there is more to Rigel's journey here. But I loved that. Yeah, we finally get to see him stand up to his abuser face to face. And yeah, I don't necessarily think the show was trying to say that he was completely healed. I feel like this is just a continuation of the story beats that began in PK Tech Girl. Yeah, I'd love to see more of this. I want more.
Yeah, Durka spinning off into space in his TIE fighter, a la New Hope. I think we'll see him again.
Yeah,
we will get the third beat of the 3 beat.
Cool.
That is all I'm going to say about that. But we will get a third beat.
Yeah. Also loved that moment too, because like basically everybody started messing with Durka. Aaron did, and he was just like, wait, what the hell is going on here? Especially Aaron, like, holy crap.
Yeah. Aaron stood up to a peacekeeping legend. Are you kidding me?
Let's talk about Aaron's character development in this one.
Oh, well, yeah, Yeah, I just love how she got under his skin by mocking him, attacking his ego. What a badass, you know? And she pretty much calls him a coward and points out how he ran from the Zalbinians. You're not a legend, Durka. I take that back. You're a disgrace. And the look on his face is like, how dare you?
Yeah.
And I love in that scene too how he approaches her with the knife and he tries to intimidate her, and she doesn't really budge. Like of course when he makes it clear that he intends to torture her, she does show some fear, but she still has this like dignified composure about her still, and I love that. So good.
Absolutely. No, and I really liked how she went straight to Rigel at the beginning of the episode and was like, hey, don't do anything stupid, okay? You know, because she recognized how pissed he was. And that's what I meant earlier when I was saying that, like, everybody was hoping to be able to solve the mystery of what was going on first, but Rigel's, impulsiveness and PTSD trigger, caused him to throw a ping pong bomb in there. And then, when in that confrontation in the command center, oh man, just like absolutely glorious, and the the way Claudia Black played it, and just like absolutely straight backed the entire time, and yeah, like you said, we saw some fear on her face, but there was also just this like, bring it.
yeah, bring it.
I also really enjoy the earlier scene with her and Durka, where she is the awestruck, peacekeeper meeting someone out of history, meeting a legend, and being told, no, none of those things that I did mattered.
Yeah.
When he was brain wiped.
Oh yeah.
And all these things that she's been taught to value, to see a peacekeeper say, no, I think that was really interesting. Can you imagine being, presented with a figure that we've been taught in our history classes is a big, important figure, and have them be like, no, my accomplishments weren't worth anything. Like, I think a lot of us have, although we aren't confronted with the historical figures themselves saying that, we've in the recent years been all confronting with, being confronted with figures from our history that we need to look at in a new light. The way that reevaluating the way our history is taught.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because I find that so interesting, and it's something I didn't consider at the time when I was watching it. But yeah, that is really significant and interesting. Now you've brought it up, and it probably played into the later scene. I just didn't think of that at the time at all.
I didn't think of it from that perspective either. I really appreciate that. When I was watching that initial scene where she's, she gets to talk to a living legend for the first time and all that kind of stuff, I was seeing a lot of, like, I don't know, almost pity on her face, because she's gone through a lot at this point. She's gone through a lot of breaking away from, her own form of mental cleansing that the peacekeepers enact on all of their citizens. And to see Durka and to see him as just this kind of like frail man, instead of the powerful, imposing figure that he was trying to be when he was alive. When he was captain of the Zalbinian. I don't know. To me there was also just a lot of like, this could have been me,
I like that too. That's really fascinating.
Should we talk about the Nabari and Durka and that whole, Durka's experience of having been mentally cleansed?
Initially, I was wondering what they were going to do with it. I started to wonder if the subtext at play was them trying to comment on the struggle of trying to forgive someone who has hurt you when that person has changed, but that doesn't necessarily work when it's a forced change, like with Durka. So I'm like, no, that's not really what they were trying to do. But Yeah. I don't know. It's fascinating. I don't know what if they were necessarily trying to comment on anything as such, but
It seems like a really impractical method. Like, we can rehabilitate anyone in our society as long as they are in stasis for a century.
yeah.
Like, what's the point of that?
I think it depends. It depends on the culture's priorities.
And I also I missed it if they said it, but I didn't catch how long-lived Nabari are.
They didn't say.
Okay, and so I don't know if 100 cycles is significant to them or not, but it took 100 cycles, and he wasn't even conscious for it or anything like that. To me, it sounded a little less like Ludovicoing and a little bit more like neurosurgery. But really slow neurosurgery or really slow Ludovicoing, like all it took was, because the way that the scene is blocked, it looks like it was the bomb that did it. But the way that Durka characterizes it, he goes, "It was you, Rigel, who did it to me," and so within the text of the episode, I guess there is the notion that these kinds of traumatic experiences for us never really go away,
Yeah.
and it paints Durka as like a dark mirror for Rigel, and in his own way, Rigel was a trigger for Durka. Because it sounded like the timeline was Rigel escaped from the Zelbinian right before the Nabari attacked it. And if they were more explicit in PK Tech Girl, I'm having trouble remembering.
I think it appeared as if he took off during the battle. Like he says he took an escape pod, so I'm thinking it was when it was clear that they were losing.
No, not Durka, Rigel.
Oh, Rigel, yeah.
Because Rigel at one point says, he was my torturer 100 cycles ago. And it was 100 cycles ago that the Zelbinian was lost. And so it sounds like Rigel leaving the Zelbinian was one of the last things that Durka experienced. And so Durka's failure to break Rigel was one of the last things that he experienced before the Nabari attacked. And then the Nabari dude reminds me, I don't know if either of you are familiar with the comedy stylings of Jordan Peele, of Key and Peele. But Peele has this character, that affectation that he busts out in some of his sketches of like somebody who is, kind of like psychotically deranged, and he's got this very quiet mannerism. And so the entire time I was watching the episode, I was like, "Is that Jordan Peele? Is that Jordan Peele? It's not Jordan Peele."
You're talking about Silas, right?
Yeah, Silas.
Yeah.
Because just the way he walked around.
Yeah, there was something very weird and ethereal about him that I really liked. And I was sitting there the whole time going, he looks familiar. He just looks like someone, looks like something. I looked up the actor. He hasn't been in anything else that I'm familiar with. But then it hit me. He looks like Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. Wes Borland often wears this like full-on face paint, black contacts. I'm like, oh my god, he's Wes Borland. Like,
not a reference I know, but
I'll show you a picture.
Okay.
Wes Borland basically makes himself look like an alien on stage. Like he's just face paint and contacts and yeah. But yeah, there's that scene where Sala starts explaining the memory wipe reprogramming thing. Well, it's not really a memory wipe, it's more of a reprogramming. But it brought to mind for me some of the cruel practices of like the sort of late 19th and early 20th century treatments with like psychology and stuff like that when it was in its infancy. Like lobotomies and stuff that's just really cruel. Because we can get that scene where Zahn specifically asked during this treatment what's it like for Durka? What does he experience? Salas kind of sidesteps the question. Like he completely just sidesteps it, and then we see some of like the old Zahn in that scene because she seems like genuinely concerned, and there's like a warmth there, and I'm like, oh my girl, she's back. Like I really like that a lot.
And then we also saw some of the news on when Salas is like, You could do some reconditioning yourself. And she didn't say a damn thing. She just stepped closer to him.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
dude.
She was seriously disturbed by the idea of this.
That look on her face, she's just like, try me, bitch. I dare you.
okay.
It's so good. Yeah, I love that scene. I was just about to bring that up too. That was so good.
Right. So this is why I gave a bit of a warning when last we met, when I was introducing this episode, because yes, earlier periods in the 20th century's psychiatric treatment. Mm-hmm. Also, this is conversion therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah,
especially I picked up on that with Chiana.
Because, yes, we have a new character. Let's talk about her development. Because, Chiana is trying to escape conversion therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, that was... Yeah, I didn't quite consider it from that angle, but yeah.
Yeah. And like, the sorts of things they used to do in the early 20th century, there is a thing called ice pick lobotomy.
Yeah. That's specifically one of the things I was thinking of, because it is what Salas and the Nabari do. It's a forced treatment. Like it's
There's also electroshock therapy.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking about too. This was, for Durka it was one thing, and for Chiana the metaphor was something else in my mind as I was watching the episode. And
that electroshock therapy, there's a version of it that is used today that is actually, therapeutically useful and whatever.
Yeah, it's often used as like a last resort treatment for depression and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, which has evidence and is done in a therapeutically safe way. There is also a history of just shocking people to try and break them out of same-sex attraction. Yeah. Or also giving people medicine that makes them physically ill and uncomfortable while making them look at pictures of the same sex, same gender. These things are generally collapsed when it comes to the conversion therapy between sex and gender. They, try to shock them out of the attraction that they naturally have, or trying to shock people out of the gender that they are. So this is the sort of thing that is happening to Chiana. I really feel that right from the beginning, she is fully queer coded. In a very pansexual way.
Yeah. I get the feeling that anyone's she's an equal opportunist in that regard. I really got that vibe, but I immediately felt empathy for her. They put her in the cell, and then when Salas zaps her in the opening scene, it just comes across as so like cruel and gross, and Crichton, I like the fact that Crichton intervened, but there was something about the fact that he like hesitated for a moment that felt a little out of character for me. But granted, he doesn't know her. He doesn't know what she has done, and I like the fact that he did intervene, but maybe just a few seconds sooner. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. You mentioned in your episode summary that they were all prisoners. It's an interesting phenomenon of like that I'm not an expert in being able to define or anything like that, but that I think is associated with trauma, and it turns into this like terminal uniqueness of looking at oneself as the exception to generally what is the rule for something. And so they were all prisoners, but they were all wrongfully imprisoned. And, Chiana probably broke the law. So that's why she's a prisoner. Because most people who are prisoners, they broke the law. And they should be in prison. But we were the exceptions. We just weren't. And so, them kind of, they were uncomfortable with it, but them kind of all just kind of like going along with it initially was very much like, you guys need to examine your role in perpetuating what was done to you to someone else. And so that's where I see a lot of the hesitation and John's eventual action was with Chiana also, because John was the one who wasn't a prisoner.
Right.
So he comes from late 90s United States.
Yeah.
So he's probably got his own flavor of perspectives on the prison system.
Right.
Yeah, and on someone having a shock collar on them, which is just
torture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Regardless of what she has done, that is cruel and unusual punishment. There's nothing about that flies for me.
And you said that you think that, from a society's perspective, it's inefficient to, have a treatment that either requires or includes putting someone in stasis for 100 years. Or, at least, or a very long time anyway. We don't know exactly.
Cycles, yeah.
Yeah. But if your society's goals is to have everyone conform, and the threat is, if you don't conform, this is the treatment you undergo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not so inefficient, because Salas didn't go through the treatment. Salas was like, I was looking for a way to conform.
Yeah, no, it is effective as an autocratic measure of control. It is ineffective as what they are billing it as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is quite telling. And also, did you guys pick up when Dargo asked Salas? So that was one of your warships that took out the Zelbidium? How many large warships do you have? Oh no, that's one of our standard vessels, like the one that's coming now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I caught that for sure.
These are not people to fuck with.
Apparently.
Yeah. Dargo, once more, I'm definitely warming up to him more. I love when Durka takes control of the ship, and Dargo's he's alone in a room trying to communicate with the crew, and then he's just kind of like fuck this, and storms off in like a Lux and Rage. He's just gonna go and fuck shit up, and then there's the scene where Kratten asks him if he has a plan, and he just kind of like scoffs, because of course he has a plan. He's Dargo.
And it's a good plan. It's
Yeah,
just
it
one
is.
that Durka planned for.
Yeah.
I was wondering when someone would try this.
So, yeah, what do you guys think of Chiana's character here? What we've been exposed to? We got very capable.
Capable, badass, sultry, sexy. I'm just gonna say it. I got a thing, and I can't help it. But
You have eyes.
Huh?
You have eyes.
Yes, exactly. But I also wonder, because often with characters like this, and even people like in the real world, that kind of exterior is hiding some damage, some hurt, and so I'm wondering if we're going to delve into that, and we're going to see some of that, because that seems, I just get that vibe from her that there's some deep damage that she is basically masking with this very grandiose personality.
There were shades of that. What was the actress name again? Gigi
Edgley.
Gigi Edgley. The way that she played the conversation that she had with John while John was straddling her, she at a certain point she went from like ha 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 to like, I'm sorry, I'm not used to trusting anybody, and like that was a really nice character moment of like, oh boy.
So, Chiana was written for this episode alone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then Gigi Edgley did that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was very much involved in the creation of this character. And they went, we are not letting this character go.
Right. So it's like a Spike thing. So good they just couldn't let it go. I love that.
I was getting shades of Zahn, and not just from a color palette perspective, but Chiana's an anarchist.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I also love that scene where she sneaks up on Rigel, and she's like holding a pillow over his mouth, or over, like just she's actually just pinning him down with a pillow, and she asks him to do something. I can't remember exactly what, and then he's like, unchain me first or something like that. And then she was like, typical male, satisfy yourself first. I like that line.
Yeah, she wants him to create a distraction to help.
That's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I really liked the turn in that scene of like Rigel still being loyal to the crew. That was nice.
Yeah. His like clapback to Durka very much feels like he's not just doing it for himself, but everybody else.
Even though I can see where Erin is coming from, when she says like, that was about you, that wasn't about me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think it was more about her than she recognized. Maybe she's not quite able to see yet.
Yeah, like I think both are true. I think it was about both of them. But like it was about him, but he did it when he did it to protect her.
So let's talk about our main boy here. I think John was doing a great job.
I'm starting to feel like that sometimes we get two Johns. We get melancholy, depressed John, and then we get Paragon John.
Yeah.
And we got Paragon John this episode. We got Paragon John of like the high morals and the teaching others compassion and trust and empathy, and being there for his shipmates. This wasn't depressed John of like drowning his sorrows because everybody gets a map pulled out of their eyeballs or whatever. This was Paragon John, and it's pretty good. I like it when Ben Browder gets to die-hearted around the way that he was in this episode.
It is definitely a die-hardish.
It was very well executed too.
I think it's just I love Ben Browder, and I love the character and who he is. I'm sick of the die-harding in a way. Like I would want to see, as Sara, you pointed out before, like this episode is more of an ensemble piece, and I want to see more of that. I want to see more working together rather than John like swinging in on a rope and being like, I'm here to save the day. The Paragon. But to be clear, it's nothing against Ben Browder. I think he's wonderful. Yeah. And the character himself is funny, he's kind, he's he's smart, like he's great. But I just want to see them use him differently, I suppose.
I mean, I enjoyed how they used him in this episode, but as a consequence of them using him, in the action hero way, his arc is very flat. Like he doesn't, he as a character doesn't get to do or learn too much. Himself in this episode. Rigel's doing all the growing. Erin's doing a little bit of growing. Chiana is getting introduced and fleshed out. Yeah. And even Durka gets more of a character arc than John does.
I think I'm just finding like the action hero boring at this point. I mean, I love action films. Really? I'm a typical guy in that regard, but I don't know. I feel like I've just seen John do that so many times at this point now. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Terminator 2. That's one of the greatest films of all time. I love Die Hard. I love me a good action flick. But yeah, I just want to see something different from John, I guess.
I do enjoy it when he does it as a sort of way that he progresses the plot while a lot of the character development happens around him. And I enjoy his him stepping into the role of die-harding it, and I love his get in line moment.
It's interesting though, because when Durka tells Rigel that he did it, he undid the conditioning, I had no idea what he meant. I was like, wait, am I so tired I missed something? Because I had like 2 hours sleep yesterday, and I was exhausted. But And then, so I thought it must have been the bomb. So then at the end, when John rolled the bomb in, I thought he was redoing the conditioning, but no, it wasn't that and all. So I was very confused. Like, I still don't entirely get how Rigel undid it. Was that clear? Did I miss something? I don't know.
Plot magic. We needed it
Plot
to
magic.
happen.
The only thing I can think of is that it
Like
was
a mental trigger.
kind of, yeah, that it was like whatever the inverse of a trauma trigger is for Durka.
Yeah.
You know, because his failure with Rigel was the last thing that happened before the Nabari captured him.
Yeah.
Which raises the possibility that the mental conditioning was actually undone in that very first scene.
Yeah, actually, we don't know if he was playing along the whole time. That's very interesting, actually. Yeah, we don't know.
Or if it was, like Hawkeye in the Avengers and whack him on the head and he wakes up unconditioned.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I think, because I assumed that it was Durka that killed Salas, but it kind of hints that it was Chiana, but we're not explicitly told, really. It's not.
We will never know.
Okay, yeah. But I think I'm like 80% certain it was Chiana, because that scene's kind of obvious, but we didn't see it, so who knows?
I think it was
I don't
Durka.
know.
Oh, you think it was Durka?
I think it was Durka, yeah.
Okay, cool.
There's a really great, this is way off of where we usually end up in these discussions. There's a really great series of novels by C.S. Forster centering around a character named Horatio Hornblower.
Oh, yes.
There's one novel where a crazy captain falls down the chaseway in the middle of the ship so that he can be declared unfit for command and everybody can like relax because he was like bananas. But while that fall was happening, there was a small like emergency on the ship, and the main character Hornblower, his whereabouts were not accounted for. And so it leaves it this open-ended question for the rest of the book of like, did Hornblower push the captain? Which would be like a really dark moment for that particular character. But when at the end when they were like, where were you? I was getting Hornblower vibes.
Okay.
Well, I think Hornblower is actually the inspiration for a lot of science fiction. That sort of.
Gene Roddenberry used the character as a template for the initial characterizations of both Kirk and Picard in the early writing process of both shows. Speaking of which, there were a lot of Star Trek shout-outs this episode.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Like whoever was writing, I think is a fan. Because at one point, they name drop a planet that's from one of the best Next Generation episodes, and the episode starts as kind of like a lift of an original series plot line where Kirk meets a mad executioner from his past. It was just, I was just watching it and I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I see what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, it's definitely a very Star Trekian kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like that we never know where Chiana was, or if it was her, or if it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The open-ended question is definitely more fun, I think.
And I think the stuff with the bomb, what he was trying to do, a little conflict, because of what Durka was doing on the bridge, the doors weren't opening. So he was throwing the bowling ball bomb to knock the doors open so that the ship would go out.
Right, yeah.
The ship that, as they point out, does not have its engines in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the production of this episode?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it.
Holy shit, man. This director was on fire.
This is Tony Tills. This is the guy who does one of the main directors for making the Farscape aesthetic.
Have we seen him before?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
Just give me a second. I'll tell you which.
Well, while you're looking that up, I'll gush. Just like the shot composition of each of the characters alone in the corridors, and the focus on Rigel and Durka's, interplay while Aaron was tied up in the background, and even the decision to shoot Rigel the way they did, where he was like upside down.
Yeah.
It was, because Durka's whole worldview was being turned upside down, but like it was just this, it was so engrossing, and I was so tense during the episode, thanks to this guy.
Everything just felt next level, like it was stepping up a notch. Like it felt different to a lot of other episodes that we've seen so far. It just felt.
There was a lot less music in the background too. Like there was a much quieter, emptier soundtrack for this episode, which I think was perfect. I am a big fan of the use of silence in a soundtrack versus having music, just kind of constantly going in the background. Like there's it basically only came in whenever the act ended and began again. There was almost no music otherwise.
I love score when it's used effectively, and I do appreciate his use of silence.
Yeah.
And he gives it this whole... Moya feels like a submarine when he directs, almost. Mm-hmm. And there's like such a sense of space. Okay, so we have seen him direct 2 episodes so far.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to guess the episodes?
I think PK Tech Girl's one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. And
that makes sense.
Maybe Thrown for a Loss?
Nope.
Okay.
What's another one that had really theatrical and experimental filming, but wasn't a bottle episode?
Dargo's trauma one.
Okay, it was Till the Blood Runs Clear.
Okay, yeah, that. Okay.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So his style really influences, and we're going to get 2 more from him this season, including the season finale.
Production-wise, too, I loved the editing and just the flow. Like, everything was so clear and concise, and not a second was wasted. Like everything felt intentional. There was nothing that was just throwaway. There was nothing that was just we need to fill 30 seconds here. Every second of screen time was used for something purposeful, and I love that.
And there's very much a horror film kind of thing to the way that he tracks them through the corridors, and the sense that everybody's being followed.
I mean, PK Tech Girl definitely had a similar flavor to it, but this doesn't feel like Till the Blood Runs Clear, and the style of this episode that just feels so different than a lot of what we've seen so far, and it was just really enjoyable. I love Durka.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just love him. I want him to kneel by my bedside and read me bedtime stories.
Yeah, the actor is terrific. He didn't have a lot of work outside of this, but yeah, he's really good.
He looks like Terrence Stamp.
He does.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was what's the term? Chewing the scenery. Like,
oh, absolutely. He was making a meal of that scenery. It was it was a gourmet meal.
Like I think literally every actor in this episode brought their A game, but Durka was like next level, like incredible.
Mm-hmm. And some great voice acting work from Rigel's voice actor too.
Absolutely. I imagine it's got to be difficult to bring your A game against a puppet, and like I don't know what the production looks like whenever Rigel is featured in a scene. Like I don't know if his voice actor is like off camera reading lines or what.
Okay, so what they do is one of his main puppeteers, Johnny Eccleston, does the speaking part when they're on set. But actually, virtually all of the of the voice we hear, of all the voices we hear, are ADR.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And from the second season on, it will be absolutely all ADR, which is audio record. It's the audio separately recorded because they're going to be moving studios and the sound. There's too much ambient sound.
Mm-hmm. Even for the live actors?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You'll notice a few changes when we get to the second season, and it is, or you may or may not notice, but
so like everybody's ADR, because normally that drives me mental when I see ADR, but we'll see how it goes.
See, but when absolutely everything is done ADR and when it's done well, then you don't notice the change.
It's usually because it's so starkly different to all the sound around it that is
well, that's even more impressive then because that actor has to act off of one of the puppeteers who I'm going to guess probably tries to do some affectation, but probably isn't acting at the level that Rigel's voice actor is.
Well, I'm sure he does his best because you want to give your scene mates the best to go with, right?
Right. Yeah. I think there's a story from the production of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan where neither Kirk nor Khan ever actually meet in person in the story, and Montalban and Shatner filmed like weeks apart from each other, so they never actually met. And so Shatner tells this story of him trying to Khan, and there's like this little meek 19-year-old script girl who's reading Montalban's lines and going like, "I shall kill you, Kirk. I shall destroy." And he has to, God.
Apparently, the Farscape actors found it a little weird when they first saw the show produced with a completely different voice.
I would imagine, yeah.
For Rigel and Pilot, because they're both have their puppeteers reading.
All this is to say, Durka's actor did a fantastic job acting off a puppet.
Yeah. I mean, the others do it regularly enough to be used to it, but guest actors come in and have to do that with a, Kermit.
Right.
But yeah, going back to the, I think Sara, you said before how it feels like a horror movie with the camera work and whatnot.
Yeah.
As I mentioned before, like, this episode kept me guessing the entire time, and that like feeling of suspense lasted the entire episode, and that's masterful work to keep that level of suspense without making the audience feel exhausted with it at the same time, because like feeling suspense it's intense, but if you manage it at a certain level, you can maintain it and not have us exhausted by the end of it, I guess.
And all the running through corridors that we see, they only have there are segments of corridors that they can put together in various configurations.
Okay.
So they got little shots of someone running, and then they rearrange all the things so it looks different. And run again, and rearrange, so yeah, and they're doing that, whereas a lot of other sets that also have, similar corridors, they won't really change them much.
Oh.
But they do change them on Moya, so we get a sense that it is a different space.
Yeah, Moya does feel like a large space. It never feels like cramped or like, it's like a cartoon from the 60s where the background just repeats over and over and over. It doesn't feel like that. Yeah, or the Flintstones or something, yeah.
Or Jeffrey's Tube number 1, which looks remarkably like Jeffrey's Tube number 16.
Voyager was so egregious with that. You could always tell that it was the same 20 feet of corridor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, whereas in this, it is the same 20 feet of corridor, but they're able to rearrange that slightly so it looks slightly different every time.
It works.
That's great.
So yes, just the production. we haven't done oh my god, the production on this show in a while. So yeah,
oh my god, the production on this episode.
Yeah.
Man.
And they actually blended the CGI fairly well. Like that shot where it goes into the window of Durka's ship was, decent for 2000s.
Yeah. Like, normally that stuff stands out, and it did, but because it's, it's 20 odd years old, but I feel like it definitely was stepped up a notch in this episode.
I just thought of something while we were talking, that the character Solace's name is a homophone for the word solace.
It is.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, which I wonder how intentional that was. But it works if it was.
Yeah.
It
Doesn't really matter if it was or wasn't. It
works.
It's there.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you will find no solace.
And I love anything that can make an actor seem more interesting, whether it was intentional or not. If it's there and it makes it more interesting, run with it, man. Of course.
So, what do we got in terms of theme?
I don't know.
We already talked about the conversion therapy stuff a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm being honest, there's so much going on. Like there's stuff about overcoming trauma, and then like it's this weird thing like persons change, but then they haven't really changed, and I don't know.
There's some nature versus nurture going on. There's some like Durka is an essentialist character, because when he throws off his mental conditioning, he reverts immediately back to his sociopathic ways. He isn't some kind of like amalgam of who he was and who he's become. He still acts as though he is under the peacekeepers' mental cleansing, which I think there's a pretty clear analog there as well. Whereas our heroes are not, they are rebelling against essentialism. Like they are changing, they are growing, they're evolving, they're getting better. Okay. Zahn in this episode was warm and fuzzy and fuck around and find out. Yeah. Dargo was like, I'm gonna run in with a plan, but also I'm gonna do it as a partner with you, John. And Aaron was able to let go of a lot of shit, and Rigel was able to let go of a lot of shit. Like, so there was definitely like some commentary on essentialism in this episode that I found interesting.
Yeah, everybody got their moment to shine.
Yeah,
which was great.
And not only are they learning and growing and changing, they're now giving someone else the opportunity to learn and grow and change.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be thrown together as a crew, but there is something to inviting someone new to join.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me, Sara, you said a few episodes back, till the blood runs clear, I think it was what it was, is the question this season is whether or not the characters can let go of their toxicity and get better, and move on from it. And so this episode, I think, definitely continues to explore that.
It's time for favorite parts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, my favorite part is Zahn's fuck around and find out, where she just approaches Solace with this look on her face. It's just like, try me, bitch. Go on. I dare you. Please do. Like, that scene, the reason it's my favorite is because it elicited the strongest response for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I felt lots of things with like Rigel and all of that, but that one made me go like, oh, like, wow, Mama's angry.
My favorite scene was definitely when Rigel finally tells off Durka, and especially like not just his monologue, but combined with the reaction shots of the rest of the crew, and like how proud they were all of him.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite moment is when John tells Chiana that this isn't a prison ship anymore. You can get off anytime you like. It's your choice. And when she registers that she has a choice. And to me, it's a mirror of the first time that John's told someone you can change, you can be more. And I think it's one of the main themes of the series is you can be more. And this is a revisit of that beat to again say, you have choices.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to say it. You have a choice. You don't have a good choice, but you have a choice.
There it is.
God, it just wells up inside, and I have to let it out.
Good.
And in fact,
Let the hate flow through you.
in fact, she has a good choice. This is
Yeah, she does. It's
probably
not-
one of
yeah,
the first times she's been offered a choice.
Yeah.
We're gonna
definitely
learn.
not a bad choice at all.
We're gonna learn more about Chiana. We have.
I'm excited because I'm already in love. Like I'm already like head over heels, man. I'm in and I'm involved and like
I
I'm
knew you
ride
would
or
be.
die, baby. Let's do this.
So, baby, your birthday present that is should be on its way to you. You know what
Okay.
Post is like?
yes.
Is a poster of Chiana.
Oh, it's like you knew. You knew.
Of course, I knew. Look at her.
I feel so seen. I feel
You are
so seen and acknowledged, and you really know me, Sara. You really
It's just
know
a little.
me.
It's just a little one. It can go on your collection of stuff.
Thanks. I appreciate that. That's wonderful.
So, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at lackofsurprise1. That's all one word with the number 1 at the end. You can find me over on Instagram at Jack Kramme. That's all one word, lowercase. I don't use it much. I mostly just Josh and I like to tag each other in our culinary creations. That's mostly what I do on there. And you can also find me over on our Discord server. You can come over and have a chat, and we'll have a grand old time. Josh, what about you, sir?
Like Jack said, I'm over on Instagram. I'm cooking things and I'm talking about self-care. So if either of those things interest you, come on over and let's hang out. At Josh Gosdin.
Sara Ezzat. You can find me at the Costume Codex on YouTube, or on Twitter at BlueStockInSara, or again in the Discord, or you can always email us at muppetsexandtrauma@gmail.com. And the next episode, folks, is going to be a human reaction.
Well, yeah, but what's the next episode?
I like this, man.
And you will see our human if you are a patron, you will get to see our human reaction to human reaction. Which will include many bad puns, I'm sure. Or good puns, you know.
Let's not set the expectation too high.
Yeah. And following that, there will be the episode Through the Looking Glass. That one I'll talk about more in the next episode, but it does come with a warning for it can be a bit of a sensory overload one, so you want to be careful watching that one. If you're watching ahead, you may need to turn the sound off and put on closed captioning.
Oh wow,
Some of
okay.
it can be overwhelming.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know, Farscape, they like to push things and sometimes push things a little far. So yes, in 2 weeks, you will see us discuss our human reaction to human reaction. And if you're a patron, you'll get to actually see us react. So, yeah, that's all for us now.
Yeah. Thanks,
Bye,
friends.
folks.
Bye, y'all.
So, yes, and I was recording the thing. Anyway, yeah, shall we start?
Let's do it.
Let's rock and roll.
Engage. Sorry, Josh, that's your line.
Hi, friends.
Howdy, puppets. I mean, shit. What the hell? Can we do that again? Because I don't know where I am. Okay, but I'm here now.
Yes, we can do that again.
Okay.
Okay.